The Center for Human Systems welcomes you to Part 2 of Module 1, an exercise and discussion of empowering teams.
All right, Michael, do you have an exercise for us to help make this real, to bring it home?
I certainly do. And it only has 2 steps. I think you'll like that.
Awesome. Let's do it.
Except step 2 has a lot of details in it. Anyway, okay. So here are the 2 steps. I'm going to ask you to think of a group that you have led that wasn't performing the way you wanted it to.
Okay.
And then the second step is we will walk through the list of team empowerment like we walked through it with Frank.
Okay.
So have you got a group in mind that wasn't performing the way you wanted it to?
Yes.
Tell me about it.
Yeah. So I was leading a project where there was multiple people from different groups on this project, and we were tasked with putting together a set of resources for the larger organization to use in order to be more efficient and effective in creating the things that they need to create in their jobs. So,
so what wasn't working?
What wasn't working? People weren't doing their jobs. They weren't they were saying, okay, they would commit to doing something and then they wouldn't follow through.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. So that the team really wasn't working and the individuals weren't working and it just wasn't working, huh?
That is correct.
Okay, good enough. So let's walk through the steps of empowerment.
Okay.
Where did the goal for this team come from?
It came out of a conversation with myself and my supervisor. We decided that we needed something that was more of a communal resource.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
Good enough. Could you tell us what the basic goal was?
What the basic goal was to
what the
create
goal was, yes.
The goal of the team was to create a set of resources that could be easily repurposed and reused by other people in the organization.
Okay, super. Did you ask your team to generate the strategies in terms of how they were going to accomplish that goal?
No, I would have to say no, because it was more of the nature of, here are the things that we need to accomplish. Here's a set of things that we need to create. How can you make a contribution to that? Which things on this list do you want to do? It was more of that nature. So they didn't create the strategies around what people needed. I created it in collaboration with a supervisor, and we put it together.
So then I can see, okay, so maybe you can begin to see why, even at this step, that your team wasn't going to work very well as a team.
Right. I was basically telling them what to do.
Right. And here was the goal, and you gave each team member something to do, and sent them off to do it.
That's right. I gave them a template to fill in and said, hey, go do this thing with this template. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So there really was no team goal at all.
Sure. I mean, but they had they could have chosen not to join the team, but they chose to join the team. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. But still, you were not treating them as a team. You were not treating them as an empowered team.
I would agree with that statement.
Yeah. Okay. So that is one thing that you could have done differently.
Well, yes. And I think it goes back to an earlier point that you made is, were they the right people to be on the team? Did they have the capacity to be on the team? That was one thing that came up over and over again. Did they have the skill set to be on the team? So you could say in a lot of ways, I didn't hire these people, right? They were assigned to the team. And I think that's what happens in a lot of organizations is you end up with a group of people who, raise their hand in a meeting and said, hey, that sounds cool. Maybe I'll do it. And then they never actually commit to doing the job.
Mm-hmm. And what I'm offering you is the idea that if you begin to treat them as a team, so that they begin to talk about and generate the strategies of how the work is going to get done, maybe they'll begin to actually buy in.
I think that's a big maybe. I know that you just gave that example earlier of Frank, but I find myself hitting a wall here, and just like Frank did in your example, because, I proposed the idea and they were drawn to the idea of what we were doing, and then they didn't actually do anything.
Mm-hmm. So you have a belief that says that these people weren't going to follow through on what they were asked to do.
That they didn't follow through, right?
Okay. What we're suggesting here is that maybe they would have followed through if you had supported them in having greater ownership for what was to be done. That's all about what this first point is.
Yeah, I didn't believe it was their idea. I believe that I owned it is what it came down to.
Yes.
And it was mine. And creatively, I wanted to stay focused on what I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So hence, there was no goal in your mind of empowering this team in the first place.
I hate to admit it. This is true.
Well, no, I mean, this is fine, because this is exactly where Frank was. I mean, that the idea of empowering his team never crossed his mind until his wife kind of beat him up enough to say, you need to do something different because you're going to have a heart attack or a stroke. So...
Yeah, I think the hard part here, and this is where I can really now connect to Frank on a very deep level, is you come into an organization because you have ideas of things that you want to accomplish and things that you want to do with the support of this organization. And then lo and behold, you put these ideas out there and you're all energetic about it and you're like, follow me, let's get this done. And people are like, yeah, okay, no. And they don't do it. And I think that it's hard to accept that I have to let go of my ideas and allow people in. I'm just being perfectly honest, as honest as I'm, I just have a hard time letting that go, that I own the idea. That's what's hard.
Yeah. That if you're the only one that owns the idea, your followership will be pretty poor.
Yeah. I think
what happened to Frank. And
exactly.
That is what happened to you.
Right. And it comes from this idea, and this is belief that I have that I'm the smartest person in the room.
Mm-hmm. And everybody else is just not as smart as you.
That is correct.
Yeah. So you can begin to see your own belief system that gets in the way from your being able to effectively empower a team.
Fair enough.
Yeah, and again, I mean, this is exactly what Frank had to walk through.
All right. So how do I fix this, Michael?
Well, now that you understand that you have this issue, and let's say you even have a great idea, but if nobody is willing to own that idea, you're going to burn yourself out, just like Frank was burning himself out.
Explains many things in my life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So Are you willing to make that shift? Say for the future, maybe. Or at least for this example.
What shift are we talking about?
That you need to get your people to buy in so that they will follow you in an empowered way. They have to
yes.
be own.
Yeah, I think I can make that shift.
Yeah. I mean, this is such a fundamental and important issue in terms of leadership. We talked way back that leaders have to have two things: some place to go, and the second one is people willing to follow. And if one's belief system is that it's my idea and they need to do it my way, then you will not get people willing to follow you. That you'll get some half-assed stuff because people need their jobs.
Yeah, and I think the other thing is, and that comes with being the smartest person in the room, is that that if they're not able to do what I want them to do, they're incompetent, and I think that's and therefore I have to do it myself. So I go back. I think, and that taking too much on is where I end up burning out because.
So you and Frank were very much alike. I'm smarter than everybody else, as everybody is not smart enough. So hence, now you have disempowered your own people because you don't even believe in them. If you can't believe in your people, why in the world would they want to follow you?
Yeah. All right. Can we move along, Michael? I'm feeling a little uncomfortable.
Well, this is all
therapist couch going on here.
This is all what this course is about. Do you have the intention to have an empowered team? Do you have the connection with your people that you need so that they will follow you? And is your ego in the way? So I think you're doing beautifully for this example. Thank you.
All right. What's part 2?
Okay. Well,
let's get to part 2 quickly.
No. Okay. So let's see. So the second step is have them figure out how the goals will be created. Well, so all of this falls out of the whole thing that you have to get your team to buy in by having them begin to have some influence in the whole process.
Okay.
And that is step number 1. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so step number 2. The leader needs to make sure that members feel free to speak up. Did that ever occur to you?
Sure, it occurred to me, but I think that what I did, which was not a healthy behavior, is if there are people who are quieter or perhaps not as articulate or are still trying to figure out their vision, I was pretty sharp with them, and that probably shut a lot of people down.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So then in terms of any hidden interpersonal conflicts coming to the surface, no way that was going to happen.
No, they were probably, I hate to admit this, but I probably made people slightly afraid.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So that the possibility of their bringing up unresolved work issues, well, that wasn't going to happen either.
Yeah, no.
And in fact, none of these things, ideas that might make for a better process, or somebody saying, well, this meeting is a waste of time, or somebody who might bring up a new idea, none of that was going to happen.
Some of that did happen. I think there was one person who, but he was already pigeonholed as someone who always made a ruckus and always disagreed with whatever was put on the table. So there was a, instead of listening to him, I had a tendency to dismiss what he had to say.
Right.
But he was at least willing to speak up.
Right. Okay. So he was willing to speak up, but would get dismissed, and nobody else was willing to even give that a shot.
Perhaps that's a dynamic I created.
Well, did anybody try?
Try what?
Any of those things?
Yeah, I mean, this individual tried.
Well, this one individual did, but how about all the other folks?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there was another woman who tried, and I was like, look, we just need to get this done, and this is how you need to do it. So it was just not healthy, and I possibly should have created more space for safety and for her to speak up. And as I'm remembering that incident, I'm just remembering another project I worked on many, many, many years ago where a similar dynamic emerged.
So the whole idea about I'm smarter than will get in the way.
Yeah.
Yes, because
I'm smarter than, I have better ideas than. Yeah, for sure.
It automatically sets up a win-lose dynamic. You win, they lose. And when your followers feel like losers, they're not going to do too much for you.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I think that what I'm hearing is that I think that what I struggle with in all of this is if people either don't have the skill set to do the work, or they have a lack of a clarity about why they're even there. So going back to your question about, at least Frank's team leaders had a clear sense of the mission of the organization or the mission of the projects or whatever they were trying to accomplish. And they had the skills to do the job. And what I encountered is that a lack of clarity on the mission, which I think was a bigger organizational issue, and a lack of the appropriate skills, which was also an organizational issue. So, and I think this is what people, and I think that is, even with that, I probably should have opened more space, but I think that that's often what we encounter in organizations is that we're given a team. We don't get to choose the team a lot in these matrixed organizations that we're in. We're given a team, we're assigned a team, we're told to work within that team and make it work. And that's hard sometimes because it's like people don't even know why they're there half the time. And so
let me offer you another thought. That maybe when folks don't know why they're there, that is an opportunity for them to invent together why they're there. And now you have a team that is bought in, basically from their not having had a good idea about why they're there in the first place. That would be an excellent opportunity to actually facilitate a discussion. Okay.
Absolutely.
So that we're here now. I think this is what our goal is. Tell me what your thoughts are about the goal and facilitate that team toward a consensus.
Yeah. You just reminded me of a project that I worked on when I was still in college. And I was starting a women's center with a bunch of other like-minded women. And every day was fraught with arguments as people argued about what the purpose of the organization was. And, there was a lot of issues there, but there was that dynamic of, and I think the challenges that a lot of people came with the dynamic of, or the belief that they were the smartest people in the room and they knew what needed to happen. And a lot of egos got in the way. Mm-hmm. And essentially destroyed that organization, which was a deeply sad thing. But it's just I'm just as I'm realizing this dynamic that I've been in so many times, I realize that how many times it's the echoes in my life, let's just say, that how many times it's echoed in my life, how many projects where this dynamic has appeared.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you, Michael.
Leadership requires a good dose of humility.
Yes.
We have to believe in other people because you can't get it done by yourself. And the only way to get people to truly support you is if you support them.
Yeah.
And a leader that does not believe in his or her people, going to have to work real hard. And you're working against yourself. That's the unfortunate part. But you blame it on the people.
Yeah. Well, I think that it goes back to what you said: facilitate and don't dictate.
Amen.
Yeah.
And you've helped us really look at the belief systems that hold us back from doing that.
Yeah.
Because until you can get there, then you can't do any of these things to facilitate in terms of being genuinely curious, interested, and appreciative, and certainly non-judgmental. I mean, because you were starting out with a judgment that I'm smarter than they are. Oh my God.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, I was.
And you certainly would not be open and honest about that. So that one's out the window. And the one about complete conflicts to win-win, well, too late. You're the winner and they're the loser. And everybody becomes a loser. So, yeah.
All right, Michael, how do we close this out, this course on empowerment?
You know, what would be a good way to do it? If you can kind of restate what you've learned through going through this example in terms of what might be different for you next time you find yourself leading a team, could you think about empowering that team, and how might you go about it given what we've done here?
Yeah, I think that for me, one of the clear things that comes out is that when I've got a team or a project and I've been told, okay, this is what you need to do, right? Because in an organization, there's always someone telling you what to do. Mm-hmm. Then it's to take that and say, and I've done this a few times, is to take that and say, this is the goal. This is our stated goal. Let's state the goal in our own words. And one of the things I often do in organizations is I say to the team, what do you want to learn? Because I think when we say, what do you want to learn? It informs how we get to that goal. And then, but I think that whole thing about this is our stated goal, how do we restate that goal as a team to get to where we need to do, as opposed to me feeling like I have to own that goal. Mm-hmm. And get others to my understanding of that goal, that it's really about them, the team, all of us figuring it out together.
If a team is empowered, the team owns the goal. You own the goal too, but you're just one of the team members who also own the goal. Everybody owns the goal.
Yeah. And I think, okay, sorry to interrupt, but I mean, one of the things that you just also made me realize, and someone pointed this out to me just recently, is that I'm a person who loves solving problems. It's like, give me a problem, let me ideate it, let me solve it, let me figure it out. Let's just go. And I think that what the dynamic I've seen play out in teams that I've been in is that my desire to move at a certain speed often shuts down people, and I have to be careful of that. And so that's one of the things, is this underlying impatience that I have in life, that I need to sort of just be conscious of that and slow down. And I'm trying to get better at that. I've been aware of that one for a while. The smartest person in the room is, and how that manifests itself is, I think, a different thing. But I think that just slowing down and saying, all right, team, what are we really trying to accomplish here? Let's restate the goal in our own words is a great starting point for me. And this idea of keeping in my head, facilitate, don't dictate, and just sort of create that safe space is another one.
What kind of support would you need so that you don't let the I'm smarter than everybody else stay in your way?
I think that one of the things I would want to do on that team is create a contract where we can call each other out on behaviors. That would be an important thing to do. And I think the other thing is to actually have 2 or 3 people outside of the organization or even inside the organization that I'm in to just be able to say, when I express frustrations about what's going on or the process with the team, that they can call me on my 2 fundamental beliefs that I have, that I'm the smartest person in the room and that everyone's moving too slow, and just kind of force me to pause.
Mm-hmm.
So those are my thoughts.
Okay. So you have an automatic one that says, I'm the smartest person in the room. Is it possible to set that aside? Because you could ask people to call you on that, but if you can't set it aside, then nothing's going to change.
Yeah, I think it's possible for me to set it aside. I'm getting better at it. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So if you truly are open with your team and saying, look, team, I've got a bit of a hang up. I think I'm the smartest person in the room, although if I think about it, I know it's not true because my knowledge does not equal what your collective knowledge equals. So if you see me operating that way, would you please call me on that?
Yeah, I think absolutely. And I think the other sort of shift I need to make in my own mind is thinking of my team as equals. They are equals to me. And I think that's a fundamental shift that I need to make. And so if I'm able to do that, it'll be like, all right, would you treat your equals this way? So I think that's another shift.
The way I do it is to say, I know I'm a smart person too. But I also know that I don't know what this other person knows.
Yes, I see what you're saying.
Right. And that together, when we are working together, that our group intelligence is way beyond any individual intelligence.
Yes.
That is what works for me.
Okay. Super helpful.
I mean, I'm smart. I got a doctorate, all that stuff, But it's all bullshit, really, because I know I cannot do it by myself.
Yeah. All right. I think then it is time to close out this module on empowerment with the words, facilitate, don't dictate. And any just last words that you have, Michael, because on this course?
No, it just goes back to, we've talked about how you empower teams by focusing on allowing the team to create how they're going to get their work done and to feel free to speak up. But what you've pointed out so powerfully is we have to manage our own belief systems first and foremost. Because if we don't do that part, the rest of it is meaningless. So,
and back we are at the beginning, conscious use of self.
Amen.
All right.